And today I'm joined by a very special guest. It's the one and only Tom Lee, CIO and co-founder of Fundstrat. Tom, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, Tom, we just got some really big news over the past few days. Your ETF, the Fundstrat Granny Shots US Large Cap ETF, ticker symbol GRNY, just crossed $3 billion in assets under management less than 1 year after launching. I want to talk about this ETF, Tom, because it's growing so rapidly and so many investors are just pouring money into this fund. Why is that happening? Is it simply because you have this massive following on social media? Is it because the fund is performing so well, outpacing the S&P 500 and NASDAQ, or is it something else entirely?
Maybe it's a little bit of everything. The fund has performed well. Year to date, Granny Shots is up 26.4%, and the S&P's up 14.2%. So Granny is outperforming by almost 1,200 basis points now. I think we've made the strategy very easy to understand because Granny Shots is really trying to find and identify the 35 most important stocks in the S&P based on like long-term growth drivers, and we help people understand because we record a weekly video that we post that explains the strategy, some macro and what's performing and not performing. So I think people feel very invested in the idea because they get a lot of transparency. And then I think that, of course, it's relatable because of Fundstrat's reputation and presence, in the marketplace too.
Big outperformance there, Tom, on a year-to-date basis, not just versus the S&P 500, but versus the NASDAQ as well. So, like you said, you guys are very transparent with this strategy, but obviously not everyone listening right now is familiar with this ETF. So I'd love it if we could just quickly go over the strategy. You talk about this being a multi-themed ETF. Is that a fair way to categorize it? A multi-themed ETF that uses a fundamental and quantitative analysis type of strategy?
Yeah, I guess that's a good description. Because the idea of a granny shot is named after Rick Barry, who is an NBA Hall of Famer, free thrower, but a granny shot is an underhanded free throw shot. So the idea is we're trying to give investors a way to get to own stocks that could outperform in a process that may not be as sexy, And the way we achieve it is we identify 7 ideas that we think are essentially thematic drivers of the market. Things like millennials or AI or cybersecurity, but also take into account macro like monetary policy or ISM. And then there's some things that take into account seasonal and tactical considerations. So all factors that drive the market. And then we only buy stocks that appear in at least 2 themes. So that's where the idea of a granny shot comes into play, because we're saying that a stock that has links to more than one theme could outperform because there's multiple drivers for the story. And it only rebalance every 3 months, so we're not trying to trade it. And the list isn't capped, but it has actually just been somewhere between 30 and 35 stocks. And it's not concentrated because it's equal weighted, and not by design, but just by coincidence, it's not heavily tech either. Tech is about 40% of the ideas. So it's really just a general purpose, proving that finding the best ideas is managing to beat the index. It defies the idea the market's concentrated because, these are 35 names.
You mentioned those 7 themes, Tom, like style, tilt, seasonality. I have them up on the screen right now. Do you think that these themes are set in stone, or are you going to add more themes in the future, maybe subtract some themes as well?
We have in the past, because granny shots was a theme as a research portfolio has been in place since 2019, and so we have made modifications. We continue to kind of think about ways to change the themes, but for now, they've really kind of been the right exposures.
Yeah, and it's interesting. You mentioned 40% of the portfolio is tech. Is that right? Or was it 40% is in tech? Um,
Yeah.
so that's kind of surprising to some, given, everyone's just talking about AI all the time, here outperforming without a dedicated AI theme. But I want to ask you, what do you think about the whole idea that AI is running the market? I'm looking at Granny's portfolio. You got Lam Research, Tesla, Robinhood, Alphabet, Oracle. A lot of these are tied to the AI boom, which arguably is the biggest driver of the stock market this year. But it's not one of the themes that you explicitly lay out on your website. Clearly, though, you have a lot of names benefiting from AI. So, how do we reconcile that? Is Granny a way to invest in AI?
Yes, but it's almost like picking AI stocks that aren't only AI related. Because there's AI stocks that it's only AI, but every other name here is tied to another theme. So it's almost like saying it's AI, but then it's tied to a second super cycle too.
That makes sense. And it kind of goes hand in hand with what you said about picking stocks that fit multiple themes, not necessarily just one. Tom, final question, because AI is such a big topic and we are in this AI boom and we've seen numbers like hundreds of billions of dollars, in some cases trillions of dollars thrown around when it comes to the amount that tech companies are planning to spend in the coming years on AI infrastructure. Do you think this is sustainable? And if so, where do you think we are in this AI investment cycle?
The returns are still really good on AI investment, and the multiples are still pretty low, right? NVIDIA is the most scarce company in the world, and it trades at 27 times forward earnings. That doesn't seem expensive to me. I mean, Cisco at its peak got to 210 times earnings. So NVIDIA could still go up by 10 times before it's a bubble.
Wow, that's definitely something to think about. Well, Tom,
Yeah.
a ton of great insight. Really appreciate your time. Thanks so much, and congrats again on the success of Granny.
Thank you.